time where I entered the hangar, I witnessed recovered alien spacecraft that the Department of Naval Intelligence in the United States was back engineering.
I have had the opportunity over the years to interview, again, people who have worked at the test site at Groom Lake. One gentleman spent 12 of his 30 years in black programs at Groom Lake. When I asked him, I said, first of all, I said, do you believe in UFOs? And he looked at me with a straight face in one-on-one. He said, absolutely, positively, they do exist. I said, can you expand upon that? And he said, no, I can't. About a year later, we were talking about, again, activities at Groom Lake. And I asked him, I said, you know, can you really tell me what's happening out there? And he said, well, there's a lot of things that are going on there that I won't be able to tell you until the year 2025. But we have things in the Nevada desert that would make George Lucas envious.
This is a Nevada test site. The area comprises about 10,000 square miles. It's bordered on the south by Mercury. Right dead center of the test site is what is known as Area 51, also known as Watertown, also known as the Ranch. At the very center is Groom Lake. It's about 10 miles on each side, and this is where most of the secret activity goes on. Just 10 miles south of the Groom Lake complex is an even more secret area. This is where the saucers, the discs, are flown, an area called S4. There's 9 hangars inside the mountain, and the discs are flown up the Emigrant Valley, up in this area. They're flown like that. And this is where they can be seen from this road, Mailbox Road, which is right here. It's about 14 miles from there to where you see the discs. Up in this area up here is the Tonopah Test Range, and one of the workers up there at this lake right here one day saw a big door open in the dry bed of the lake and a disc come out of there.
We got out there, and I believe we arrived around 3:30 at the mailbox, and we decided to go to the Little Alien for dinner. And we came back and got to the mailbox by about 5:30. It was dusk and beginning to get dark. Wednesday, February 28, 1990. And I got out my lawn chair, and suddenly at 7:30, the first craft came up, and I was astounded. I leaped out of my lawn chair, had a camera around my neck, my 35 millimeter point and shoot camera, Nikon Action Touch, and I took a couple of shots. We actually, about every 45 minutes, a craft would come up one at a time. We saw 6 craft that night, each one in succession. And it was craft number about 2 or 3 that was the most dramatic. That is, it was the one that came the closest, and I took a photograph of it. What we actually saw, Michael, was a craft that was ellipsoidal in shape. It was pulsating brightly, and while we couldn't see the outline of the craft, the strict outline, we saw this very brightly pulsating ellipsoid. So, plus, it must have caught the craft in a trough of its pulse, because the photograph captured the craft beautifully. That is the outline of it.
I looked up in the sky, and I thought there was a really bright star up there, and I said, John, is that star kind of moving? And right about the same time I saw that, and he goes, yeah, I think it is. And right about that time, it just like a falling star dropped out of the sky and just came straight down to right above a mountain range that was about 5 miles away from us. And just stopped there and hovered and then moved around the mountains a little bit, making various maneuvers that no aircraft could possibly make. And then it just stopped, and then it lowered itself down below the mountains out of view. And that was the first of many weird things we saw that night. Yeah.
The most dramatic thing that happened that evening was after a large number of the people had left, including the tour bus. It was down to 3 cars, and we were sitting in the middle of these 3 cars and had been watching a light maneuvering kind of wildly out on the other side of the valley, and were just intrigued as it came straight toward us, as if it was singling out Jeff and I, in particular,
Yeah.
from this immense distance away in a straight line, and we were absolutely stunned. I felt absolutely awestruck as this light that we had been watching came straight toward us. In just an instant, it crossed that long valley, and
right
Jeff became actually frightened
because
right as it
we're
stopped.
sitting in a pickup truck, and I'm looking right over, right up like this, and it stopped and hovered practically right over us. And then it turned on a light from the edge of the craft, and when it came over us and stopped and hovered, the light seemed to be on the top of it, and it revealed like a silhouette of a disc, and you could clearly say it was a disc-shaped craft, and it made no noise whatsoever, just hovering above us. Probably maybe under 100 feet in altitude above us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it stayed there and hovered for a few seconds more, and that's when I was starting to get worried, that something else is going to happen now that they've checked us out. Maybe they're going to land, or I didn't know what was going to go on, so I got pretty scared at that point. And right about the same time I got scared, the thing just zoomed back over the mountains, and you're talking about what was it, 10, 5, 8, 10 miles, and within a split second it was over this mountain range, and then it stopped, and then just lowered itself on the other side of the range, out of sight.
One in particular comes to mind. Now, he's not in the military, but he ran several large military research programs here in Nevada. Very top-level programs, the highest classification. This is a person from a very prominent Nevada family, well-known. It's provable where he worked and the kinds of things that he did. He also confirms that the alien technology has been in Nevada since the early 1950s, that it was even here before the base at Groom Lake was built, that one of the reasons that the Groom facility was built is in order to test this alien technology. He told me that there was a live alien in custody for a number of years, that they had difficulty communicating with the alien at first, but eventually developed some sort of a communication abilities. He is reluctant to talk. He's worried about what will happen to his family, but he has agreed to give me a videotaped deposition that would be released only after his death. And I think when that comes out, it will not only confirm what Bob Lazar had to say, but shed a great deal of light on what our military, what our government has known about the alien presence for the past 45 years, including Roswell.